Welcome everyone for the Italian Serie B Matchday 21 predictions and tip. Let's get started. Serie vs Empoli. Serie approach matches with an aggressive, high-shot volume style but show inconsistency in result. Empoli are more balanced and efficient, with games frequently producing goals, particularly after halftime. With no historical meetings between the teams, the analysis relies entirely on current season trend. Statistical synthesis and key predictions. With no historical precedent to draw upon, the forecast for this match hinges entirely on the statistical clash of current forms. The primary dynamic pits Serie's aggressive, high-volume but inefficient attack against Empoli's lower volume but more clinical approach, which consistently produces matches with goals. Empoli's perfect record of scoring in the second half stands out as a particularly strong statistical indicator. Based on Empoli's flawless 100% rate for second-half goals and Serie's high attacking volume, a goal in the second half appears highly probable. Considering both teams' tendencies, particularly Empoli's 66.67% rate for matches finishing with over 1.5 goals, this fixture is likely to feature at least 2 goals. Serie vs Bari. Serie arrive in strong form, creating more chances and showing greater attacking efficiency. Bari remain winless and struggle offensively, often failing to convert limited opportunities. Historically, however, this fixture has frequently ended in draws, often with goals from both sides. Statistical synthesis and key predictions. This match presents a classic conflict between strong current form and a powerful historical precedent. Serie's superior season performance, particularly in attack, contrasts sharply with the historical tendency for this fixture to end in a score draw. The alignment of the 1-to-1 frequent result in both datasets is a significant point of convergence. The key question is whether Serie's current momentum can overcome the established pattern of this head-to-head rivalry. The historical data shows a 70% BTTS rate, while Serie's current season BTTS is 66.67%. This strong alignment across both datasets suggests a high probability that both teams will score. Historically, 80% of their matches have gone over 1.5 goals. This is reinforced by Serie's current 77.78% rate, making an outcome with more than 1.5 goals a very strong possibility. Despite Serie's superior form, the historical prevalence of draws, 60%, and the recurring 1-to-1 scoreline suggest the match could be far more competitive than current standings indicate. Frosinone vs Reggiana. This fixture shows one of the widest gaps in current form. Frosinone dominate offensively and score consistently, while Reggiana struggle for results but remain involved in open, high-scoring matches. Historical data is extremely limited and contrasts with the present-day performance gap. Statistical synthesis and key predictions. This forecast must weigh the overwhelming evidence of Frosinone's current attacking dominance against the very limited historical data suggesting draws. Given the sheer volume of Frosinone's offensive output this season and the high-scoring nature of both teams' recent matches, current form appears to be the far more telling indicator. Reggiana's tendency to score even in defeat is also a key factor to consider. Given Frosinone's 88.89% rate and Reggiana's 70% rate for over 1.5 goals, combined with Frosinone's massive shot volume, an outcome with over 1.5 goals is extremely likely. Reggiana's matches have a 70% BTTS rate, indicating they find the net consistently even when losing. This, combined with Frosinone's potent attack, points towards a strong possibility that both teams will score. The total corner statistic is high for both teams' matches, with an average of 9.67 for Frosinone and 10.40 for Reggiana. This suggests the game's dynamics could lead to a high number of corners. Juve Stabia vs Entella. Juve Stabia remain unbeaten and defensively solid, while Entella are winless and defensively fragile. Despite this contrast, Entella's matches tend to be more open and goal-prone. The limited historical data shows a competitive and goal-filled encounter. Statistical synthesis and key predictions. The forecast for this match must balance Juve Stabia's unbeaten, defensively sound season against Entella's winless but more goal-prone record. The single historical match, a score draw, adds an element of uncertainty. Juve Stabia's form makes them the clear favorite to avoid defeat, but Entella's statistical profile suggests they could contribute to the scoresheet. Entella's matches have gone over 1.5 goals 80% of the time this season. Combined with the single historical match also exceeding this threshold, it is highly likely this game will feature at least 2 goals. Given Juve Stabia's unbeaten record, 5-5-0, an outright loss for them appears statistically improbable. The historical precedent of a draw aligns with their current season tendency to draw games, 5 times. The historical match resulted in both teams scoring. Coupled with Entella's current BTTS rate of 50%, there is a reasonable chance that both teams find the net again. Mantova vs Venezia. Both teams are heavily involved in high-scoring matches and generate a large number of chances. They share strong BTTS trends and regularly score in the second half. With no historical meetings, current season data fully defines expectations. Statistical synthesis and key predictions. With the analysis focused entirely on current form, the most compelling evidence is the strong statistical alignment between the two teams, particularly regarding goals. This fixture presents a clash between two sides that are involved in high-action games, create numerous scoring opportunities, and have a proven tendency for matches where both teams score. The most prominent shared statistic is the 70% BTTS rate for both teams. This strong, identical trend suggests a high likelihood that both Mantova and Venezia will score. Given the high rates for over 1.5 goals for both Mantova, 70%, and Venezia, 80%, it is highly probable that the match will feature 2 or more total goals. Mantova's perfect 100% rate for scoring in the second half is a powerful indicator that at least 1 goal will be scored after halftime. Monza vs Pescara. Monza are one of the strongest teams in the league, while Pescara remain winless but involved in extremely high-scoring matches. Pescara's defensive weakness is offset by their ability to score regularly. Historical meetings are limited but support Monza's superiority. Statistical synthesis and key predictions. This synthesis must address the core conflict: Pescara's chaotic, high-scoring current form versus a more conservative head-to-head history. While Monza is the clear favorite, the question is whether their structured approach can control Pescara's wild games better than other opponents have, or if Pescara's current trend of high-scoring affairs will override historical precedent. The alignment on second-half goals across both datasets is particularly compelling. Pescara's 100% rate for matches going over 1.5 goals is a definitive statistic. It is virtually certain this match will feature at least 2 goals. Pescara's 88.89% BTTS rate is exceptionally high. Despite the more conservative historical rate, 50%, Pescara's current form suggests they are very likely to score even against a strong opponent like Monza. The strongest alignment is on second-half goals. Both Monza, 80%, and Pescara, 100%, have very high rates this season, and their historical meetings also share a 100% trend. A goal after halftime is a very strong probability. Modena vs Palermo. Two well-matched teams with strong attacking tendencies face off in a fixture that historically produces goals. Both are active offensively and regularly score after halftime, suggesting a competitive and open contest. Statistical synthesis and key predictions. There is a remarkable alignment between the current season data and the historical trends for this matchup. Both datasets point emphatically towards a competitive game with a high probability of goals. The historical 100% rate for over 1.5 goals provides a powerful precedent that is fully supported by both teams' high rates in the current season. Furthermore, the balanced historical outcomes, 20% home win, 40% draw, 40% away win, reinforce the idea of a tightly contested fixture where no result would be a major surprise. The historical record shows a 100% frequency for over 1.5 goals. This is strongly backed by current season rates of 90% for Medina and 77.78% for Palermo, making an outcome with at least 2 goals extremely likely. Both teams have a strong tendency for BTTS in the current season, 60% and 66.67%. This suggests a high probability that both sides will score. The very high rates for second-half goals this season, Medina 90%, Palermo 77.78%, indicate that the match is likely to see goalmouth action after the interval. Spezia vs Avellino. Both teams struggle for consistency but regularly take part in matches with goals. Their records and statistical profiles are very similar, pointing toward a balanced encounter. Historically, draws have been frequent, often with goals. Statistical synthesis and key predictions. This is a matchup of two teams with similar struggles and similar statistical tendencies. The most compelling data point from the current season is the identical 80% rate for over 1.5 goals, which signals that despite their poor form, their matches are not typically goalless. The historical data reinforces this with a high frequency of goals and a strong trend towards draws, which is a plausible outcome for two evenly matched, struggling sides. The standout statistic is the 80% rate for over 1.5 goals for both Spezia and Avellino in the current season. This makes an outcome with at least 2 goals highly probable. The historical data points to the draw as the most common result, 42.86%. Given their almost identical records this season, a draw remains a very plausible outcome. With a historical BTTS rate of 57.14% and a current rate of 60% for Spezia, there is a solid chance that both teams will manage to score. Südtirol vs Padova. Südtirol show greater attacking intent and produce more shots, while Padova's matches are typically lower scoring. With no historical data available, the forecast is driven entirely by current season performance. Statistical synthesis and key predictions. With no historical context, the forecast is driven by the contrasting styles evident in this season's data. Südtirol's higher shot volume and greater frequency of multi-goal games position them as the team more likely to drive the offensive action. Padova's lower scoring trend suggests they may adopt a more conservative approach. Südtirol's strong tendency to score or concede in the first half is reflected in their 77.78% rate for over 0.5 first-half goals. This makes a goal before halftime a strong possibility. Südtirol's offensive metrics, 14.22 shots per game, 66.67% over 1.5 rate, suggest they are well equipped to break down Padova's low-scoring trend, making an outcome with at least 2 goals a strong probability. Catanzaro vs Sampdoria. Catanzaro are in strong form, while Sampdoria remain winless but continue to score regularly. Both teams show high goal involvement, and historical meetings strongly reinforce expectations of goals from both sides. Statistical synthesis and key predictions. The forecast for this match shows the strongest statistical alignment in the entire report, where limited but potent historical data perfectly corroborates current season trends. While Catanzaro's superior season record makes them the favorite, the goal-scoring data from all angles is overwhelming. Both the current season and the historical meetings point emphatically to goals for both teams in an open contest. The historical data shows a 100% BTTS rate, which is strongly supported by high current season rates for Catanzaro, 60%, and Sampdoria, 70%. An outcome where both teams score is highly probable. Both teams have a 70% rate for over 1.5 goals this season, and their historical meetings are at 100%. The match is extremely likely to feature at least 2 goals. Both teams have an 80% rate for a goal being scored in the second half. This aligns with the historical trend of goals in every half, making a second half goal a very strong likelihood.